कई जगह पे मैं अभी पीडब्ल्यूडी बंगाल में गया था, वो लोग का कोविड सेंटर बनने का था. So they raised the query कि if you are not in SOR, we are not going to use your technology. And ऐसा 2-3 जगह पे हुआ है. तो how can अभी आपने जो स्टेप लिया वो तो बहुत अच्छा है और काफी हेल्पफुल होगा नई टेक्नोलॉजी को. माने स्टेट पीडब्ल्यूडी को कैसे इसके बारे में ये करेंगे?
स्टेट सब्जेक्ट है, उसमें स्टेट पीडब्ल्यूडी इज नॉट अंडर आवर कंट्रोल, वी कैन नॉट डायरेक्ट देम, इट इज फॉर देम टू डिसाइड. पूरा हिंदुस्तान में फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर भी है, तो इट इज नॉट यूनिटरी, सो दैट मे बी इट विल टेक सम टाइम. यही कह सकता हूं मैं.
नहीं सर, वो बात सही है, पर वो तो एसओआर पकड़ कर ही बैठते, उसके अलावा कहीं जाते नहीं है. प्रॉब्लम वो हो जाता है.
हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं, डाइवर्सिटी करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, देखते हैं.
ओके सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Sir, excuse me, sir. I have one question to Mr. Murthy. Am I audible?
Ji. Yes, you are audible.
Murthy sir, as you spoke about full-scale testing of buildings in the lab, and the building is 3-story high, maybe around 10-meter height was there. So now the results of those tests are to be used for the actual construction at site. So whether do you keep in mind whether the what will be the height of the actual building while you declare the results of these tests for a particular technology? Whether the height of the actual building where the technology will be adopted is kept in mind, or the results will be used differently for different heights of the building?
जी, एक बात है, when we are looking at multi-story buildings, the components, how much load will come on that, वो design के time में वो हो जाता है. The main focus of full-scale testing is the joinery between members. That is the key focus. और हम चाहते हैं कि जब ये टेस्ट हो, we are seeing whether the integrity of the structure is getting released or it is staying snug. That is the main focus. Strength wise components का टेस्ट वैसे भी डिजाइन लेवल पे ही हम हैंडल कर रहे हैं उसे. We'll do analytical work, basic जो monolithic समझ के आप कैलकुलेट करते हैं, तो आपको फोर्सेस आएंगे, उससे कंप्रेशन, बेंडिंग मोमेंट, शेयर फोर्स, एक्सियल फोर्स डाल के डिजाइन करते हैं मेंबर्स को, वो रहेगा. After that, when we make them in pieces, whether the junctions between these pieces will start sliding, whether they'll rock, and whether there'll be local crushing, these are the aspects that will come into focus. Whether the structure will swing much more laterally, deflect much more because of this lifting off that is happening locally at the member level, these are the items that will be estimated from the experimental work. So ऐसा नहीं है कि experiment alone is deciding, no, it's the analytical work plus the experimental work together. Detailed analytical work, assuming some local springs and dashboards, also is done to look at opening and closing of cracks. It is a detailed work. It takes a lot of time, and that is why not many people do that in a normal design office. लेकिन किसी को तो एक आदमी को तो बैठ के कर लेना चाहिए. And then when this test is done, they will do both analytical work and experimental work simultaneously. और वो analytical work will be different from the normal design office level experiment and analytical work.
तो आप ये कहना चाह रहे हैं जो इस लैब टेस्ट का जो रिजल्ट होगा, that has to be taken into account by the designer when he actually designs the building?
No. For the lab test is for a technology, okay, and that technology says that this type of connection is going to stay snug or not.
Okay.
It is not that again इसके आधार पे कुछ और कैलकुलेशन करें, नहीं. This is to verify whether those connections are going to stay together under that extreme shaking that is going to come during the earthquake.
Okay, thank you.
वो जो no collapse वाला स्टोरी है ना, extreme shaking में, उसके लिए हम टेस्ट करेंगे और देखेंगे कितना झुक रहा है.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, I have a question with Mr. Shenoy from L&T. Is he there?
प्रदीप, वो आप अलग से डिस्कस कर लेना.
सर,
हाँ, इस फोरम में वो 1-to-1 वो ठीक नहीं होगा, आप अलग से बात कर लीजिए.
Sir, that is of interest to everyone. Anyway, I'll discuss separately.
हाँ, ठीक.
Sir, maybe because Dr. Bharti from MNIT Jaipur is here, sir, for the benefit of all of us, sir, can you give us an idea of how much is the testing charges for full-scale testing, and what are the liabilities of contractor and the MNIT in this process, sir?
हाँ, भारती साहब बताएं. अच्छा.
Already send an email. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Good afternoon. Already send an email on response from Diwakar Saab figures are there. So I don't want to discuss those on, on an online forum. They are not exorbitant when you look at the scale of work that you are actually doing. The figures you can obtain from Diwakar Saab. It is there with him. And we are already doing one test for one client. I mean, we are already, in an agreement, we have signed an MOU with the client. So not that we are not doing it. So if one person is doing, why can't others do? The cost is not prohibitive. Only thing I can tell you that cost is not prohibitive.
Okay.
Sir, one more question I want to ask to Dr. Murthy, sir. I am SK Srivastava, Chief Engineer, sir. So I wanted to know to what extent we can drive this startup space, which is mostly silent as far as the civil engineer is concerned.
Yeah, thank you. The startup space is very interesting for technologies like this. What will happen is the startup will create the technology, but ultimately they have to sell it away to some company. And once they sell it to one company, that company will say कि भाई और किसी को नहीं देना है, exclusive कर लेना है. So that will constrain them. So that is why you will see, unlike in the case of other engineering professions, हमारे profession में ये exclusivity का चक्कर थोड़ा बना रहेगा. Now, if the technology is not exclusive, it goes into the standard, then everybody can use it. So I would think that there has to be a relationship between that institute, some institute, and that startup. Like in IIT Madras, we have a research park here and they have relationships. Whatever technology is developed, we only help them prepare the technology. Whatever monies accrue, they will take them for that. हमारा क्या होता है? We take that and make standard out of it. That is the approach that we are taken in IIT Madras actually. But it is in civil engineering, the startup is not so simple when you talk about technologies of this nature, because there is competition between the industry partners, and that is why they tend to go exclusive mode.
Okay, sir. One more question I wanted to ask, sir. What is your comment regarding fixed cost EPC contract vis-a-vis safety and the cost? Because both drives in different directions.
Yes.
Contractors' interest is to reduce costs using new innovative technology, but on the same time, it is not proven and the chances of compromise is always there. So
Yes.
your take.
So even in conventional construction, I always thought that the design has to be agreed upon first, and then only you can fix the cost. Otherwise, it is not going to be so simple. Because in design and build, invariably, you will get infinite options, and that is not easy to handle. And as we are saying that depending on whom you go for advice, you will get different advices. And that is why I would not go with that. No, I would want to fix the design first. For each region, let me be honest, if I go to Jodhpur, Rajasthan, there is one design that is appropriate. If I go to Himachal Pradesh, another design is appropriate. And I would like to freeze that design. Architectural issues are small issues, which we can say कि भाई थोड़ा ऐसे हो सकता है वैसे होता है. That's perfectly in place. I will not come in the way of architecture. But most often what I learned was the architect says that इस region में ये हमारे लिए functionally ठीक है, इसका safety बनाइए. That is the best way. So I'm confident that we can speed up the construction if we finish the planning ahead of time. Planning, when I say all the planning, functional, structural, all of it. It's not been successful. The issue of cost overrun, time overrun has been embarrassingly high with us, because we as persons who want that facility keep changing our goalpost. That is not acceptable. I would say design freeze कीजिए, उसके बाद आप you can float the tender. I just don't see design and build as a successful venture in a country where there's no technological regime and there is no competence of engineers verified. We are not ready for that yet. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Ji.
Shall we close then? If there are no further questions? It's requested that all the attendees who want a recording of these proceedings, this seminar, please type your email ID, name, organization, and phone number in the chat box so that we can mail you a link of recording. Thank you.
It appears that there are no more questions or comments. So we can now close the workshop. I thank DG sir, SGG sir, ADGs, Dr. CVR Murthy, Dr. Bharti, the participant, all the participants, the organizing team. Thank you very much.
Thank you.